Welcome to Tech Brothers Amir. In this video, we are going to learn about BARD. And as you guys know that I do a lot of demos on SQL Server, MySQL, and Postgres, and often I have to create some sample data. So I'm going to try and see how it is working and if there are some very basic queries I can write by using BARD. So first of all, I would like to create a table in SQL Server. And here, what I want to do, I want to go ahead and insert some records. So that's gonna be easy. And if I do that in my SQL query, it take me like 5-10 minutes to even just write few records. But now I'm gonna use BARD here. So I will say, create me a SQL table with columns, ID, name, salary, and insert 5 records. So 10 records, whatever I want. So now let's see if it will create me a SQL table and it will create me some sample data. So here is my SQL. It created a SQL table, employee ID, name, salary. So it took the columns that I gave in the query right here or my question here, and then it inserted some records. Let's copy this and go back here. Okay, so I'm gonna just go back here, new query, and paste it here. Now let's create this table and see if it works. Now, if you notice here, what happened now, this table auto increment. Now, if this is a SQL, MySQL, this is just fine. But as this is not MySQL, this is SQL Server, so auto increment did not work. I'm gonna go ahead and create a drop actually some tables I have already here, so then you will not have any problem with those. I'm gonna drop this departments table as well. I was doing some experiment. So right here, as I was showing you, it's not gonna create this table because auto increment keyword is not available in SQL Server. That's fine. Now what we are gonna do, we are gonna go back to BARD and try to make a little bit adjustments to our query or question. I'm gonna say, instead of saying create me a SQL table, I'm gonna say create me a SQL Server table. Okay, or I can say create me Microsoft soft SQL Server. Okay, and then we'll say update. Once we do that, it should be creating better DDL and DML statements. Now you can see that it created an employee table with ID, not null, identity. That's what SQL Server code looks like. So I'm going to copy and then just go ahead and create right here, paste it, and we will create this employee table. And now we can go ahead and insert some records. So for this one, it really works great for me. I can create maybe hundreds of records and basic table definitions, and that will work. Now if I want to just take this as is, and I can go and maybe just also change a little bit. Instead of saying create me a Microsoft SQL table with name customer, and with the columns of different data types, and insert 5 records. Let's see if that helps. Now I'm asking to create a table called customer. Then I'm asking more questions with the like, hey, different data types. So I'm unable to help model and don't have the ability to process and understand that. Okay, create me Microsoft SQL Server customer table with different column of different columns. So let me make it a little bit better. So I'm going to say create me Microsoft SQL table with name customer, and just leave this as is, So data types, we will kind of decrease the length of our request and create me Microsoft SQL Server table with name customer and insert 5 records. So let's see if this works better. Okay, that worked. So it created a table customer with the customer name, ID, and all those kind of things. And now we can copy and go back here and insert. So it is going to create table customer, and then the customer name. Where is the customer name? Right here. So we create the table, object already exists. Okay, let's insert the values. Invalid column name customer name. So here we have this customer name is column is here. I can see that right there. And let me open this a little bit. Table definition and see customer name, main street, city, state, and zip code. So that's there. Why is an invalid name? Okay, maybe this table was already existing. Let me drop this and recreate. I might have created this table earlier. Okay, so that's not a problem with the BARD. It was a problem with my existing table, and that has different columns. So now if I will select the data, I will be able to select the data. Okay, that works. And now what we can do further. And in this case, if I want to go ahead and ask, let's say if I will take this definition and maybe I just don't know if I have to just write this whole thing, or I can simply ask because I can just use this definition earlier, and I can ask, can you write me a query to find duplicate record? Write me query to find duplicate records in customer table in SQL Server. Okay, let's see if it used the previous information and create us the query. So it looks like it did. So if you see right here, it took customer name and then it used that one. So it is finding records for a customer name. So I can copy here and then we can paste here. And this query should return us a duplicate records if there is any. So query looks fine. You are taking the count, grouping by customer name, and then having clause. So that should work just as it is. There is no duplicate records here, so that's why we didn't get any duplicate. I can insert one duplicate record and show you now. It is returning me the duplicate record. Also, I think I can do a better job here by making these choices. So let me take this one and then write the code and say create me query to find duplicate records in below table definition. So I'm going to paste this time the query of create table. So let's see if it take more columns in consideration and create me the group by. So you see right there, it took at this time, so it is showing me all those columns and then group by and the having clause. So this is maybe better choice, so you can paste the query itself, or if you know by yourself, you can always go ahead and exclude or include the columns. So in this case, you see right there, this is one of the records was duplicate I inserted. Now let's go to the next level and see if it can create more information for us. Now if I want to use where clause and all that in this query, that's not a problem. I can always ask, we write my query where my zip code is equal to this or cities like that. But let's go further and say, write me, or we can say generate me two SQL Server tables with primary key and foreign key relationship, and insert 5 records in each table. Okay, so this is another query. I'm writing it here, and let's see if it will be able to create 2 tables with some information. Okay, it did create 2 tables. One is called customers, another one is called order, and it inserted some records for us. So let's take a look on this query and just go from here. And now I'm going to paste it there. So it is creating our customers table first. So let's create the customers table. It create orders table next, and now it is inserting this 2 rows here. So all great. Now what I can do, I can say this select star from and select star from orders. So we have all these records right there. Okay. Now, if you notice here, we have ID 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for customers, and there is a customer ID right here. So there is a relationship between them. So let me see if I can insert one more record there. And this is our customer. So I'm going to call it one, or let me actually say Amish, my name. Okay. And let's insert this record. So we have now more records in customer. So right there, there is a customer. This is ID 6, and my name is Amish Azad here. And now you can see right there, we have only foreign keys for 5 customers. Now I can ask this question furthermore, depending on that. I'm gonna take this and say, write me a query to find all customers who have placed orders from below tables by using below table or whatever. Okay, so you can write better English. I believe it will help you, the AI, to write your queries in the right way. With my poor English, that might be a little hard for to understand. So you can see that it is selecting the customer name from customer joining orders on customer ID and customer ID. So that is helpful. And now if I will go back here, it should be very simple. Who has so you notice right here my name is not there. If you remember, I have not placed my name is a 6 ID, and here is the order, so I don't have any order, but all these other people have the orders. That's why their name is showing up there. So now we can go ahead and change the query a little bit here, and I can say give me the person who did not place order. So I can just paste it here, or even just edit write my query to find all customers who has placed. So see, my English was very bad here. Who has not placed any orders by using below tables. So let's see if this is going to write some left join and all that. And I believe me, with the proper English, maybe it will. So if you see right there, it's in customers where customer ID not in, select customer ID from. This is also helpful, but it could have write the left join queries as well. So it is giving me this query. So if I check, now let's see what happened here. Invalid customer ID. So where customer name from. So in the customer table, what we have here. So it is using customer ID. There is no customer ID here actually. So there should be actually ID here. So it messed up with this. So that's fine. We can make small change and we can write it. So you can see it is showing me my name. So I can say asterisk. So I am the one who is existing in customer table but have not placed any order. So it gave me the query with the where clause. Now you can write better English, and I'm sure you will get it. Let's do this here. If I will say on top of that, I will say right or left join query between customers and orders. Okay, so now let's see if that will help. Okay, so you see right there, it is getting everything from customer. It to find the primary key between two of them, and then that's done. So that's very helpful. So you can kind of, if you know SQL, I mean, at least you need to know what is left join and right join and all that. But also, even you don't know, still with my poor typing style or English, I was able to, it gave me something. So now you see that it has written me the left join statement here. Also, I can do a lot more things. Let's say if I want to do right here, and I want to say find me all duplicate, or actually write me query or find me all duplicate records in below table. So let's see if it writes SQL query. So if you notice here, it is writing a SQL query to find duplicate records for you with the group by and having clause and all that. So that is great. Now if I want to go further right here, so you can see right that there is no duplicate records by all these columns, but there could be more. If we will insert few records, we can find them. Let's say I want to insert few more records here. And now if you go ahead and use this query, you might find some duplicate records because we have inserted some duplicate records. So now if we go further and let's say we want to do, say, write me merge statement for this table, right? So I want to do for a customer table. So I want to do upset statements where I want to insert new records or something like that. So let's see if it will write me merge statements for between the SQL for this table definition. So here you can see that it created me a merge statement and using some values. You can use table here and all that. But this is great as it is very helpful to learn and understand. And instead of going to the Google searching for merge statement, writing on all the list of the columns and everything, I mean this is awesome because it can help you real quick how to use that. You can see the values are already there, so maybe that's why you are not seeing in the insert statements and everything after we make the change. So now this is a new value, so it got inserted, and if it match then inserts, otherwise not match, then it's not going to do anything. So you can write all different type of thing. So also let's say if now we want to investigate further, and let's say we have created definition of this one, and I want to create a trigger, or I want to, let's say, create insert and update trigger, or insert trigger for table. So let's say for this table, if anything got inserted, we want to create a trigger that will insert the record into some other table. So create trigger, this one on customers after insert, as so you can see once the data is inserted into, it is telling you you need to create an order table, and these values will be inserted from the our those deleted and updated the tables we have in the memory. So this is a great, I mean you don't have to really go ahead and write everything. It is going to write pretty much a lot of items for you, and you can simply go ahead and use it. Now if I want to write something like, say, hey, create me more queries, I'm not just going to type it like for same SQL and all that. So let me say write me a query to find a database size for all databases in SQL Server. So let's see what it does. So you can see it gave you the query right away. So that's great, that's very helpful. So you can experiment and see the limits of this BARD, and say database name, size in bytes and all that, sys.databases. So probably go to master, oh, because it's guess what, this is not SQL Server, this is actually Azure, and that's why it's not running in here. So that's the reason it gave me error for the database name. So that's fine. Let me see if I can connect with my own premises SQL and try to show you guys real quick. So if I go ahead and execute here, now it's still like okay, it got connected. Sys.databases are there. Let me see. So it's maybe some of the, it's given us some old. So yes, the database name, so it wrote the query, but it's not really, let me see if what columns it has. Maybe it's missing the column. So it has name, but it's in database name. So somehow that's messed up here. So now size in bytes. So no, that's not really right. Name, size. We don't have size in bytes and all that here. So every query is not going to work. So we see that that is possible, so we can maybe do some more here and say SQL query to find database size for all database in SQL Server. Didn't really work, and we can simply go maybe right here. We have a physical database name and everything, so we have to retype something different maybe to get it. How I can find the size of all databases in SQL Server, and maybe write with edition 2019 or something, no? So that might help because then it will try to get you the latest query. So that's I'm gonna write with the SQL Server 2019 edition. So it gave you the PowerShell now, and also it tells you like in SSMS you go right click and all that. So that's it's helpful, but maybe you are not gonna find the information for everything. Let's do a little bit more digging into it, and I'm gonna write some more code or samples here. So for examples, like it's gonna give you real quick, like give me sample SQL code for store procedure. So if you want to get the sample code of some store procedure, you just write it like, hey, get me a sample for store procedure. It is giving you the example. So these are very helpful right away snippets. You can use, make some changes and make them work. Now, well, let's go and write some other languages or some other code we want to generate. So I use often Azure Data Factory, and if you guys notice here in the Azure Data Factory, what we have here, we have JSON, and it can copy data. Here I'm copying the data from blob storage, writing to a SQL table, and all that. So those kind of things could be interesting, and here we can also try that out. So if I will go ahead and say, write me JSON code for Azure Data Factory pipeline, which reads pipe which reads customer.csv file from blob storage and write to customer table in SQL database. So let's see if it will be able to write us the JSON code for Azure Data Factory pipeline. And see right there, it says the customer data factory pipeline. This pipeline records are CSV. So it took and write a description as well. So copy data, blob storage, path is the customer.csv, your sync, Azure database, and all that. It's not going to be 100% right here. Maybe once we copy and go back here and say, hey, I want to go ahead and let's say create a new pipeline. So let's say create a pipeline, and now if I will go to the pipeline one here, I'm going to go right there, paste this code. Let me copy this code actually, the entire thing. Hold on. So we hit OK. It says pipeline 1. So I'm going to just name it pipeline 1. Okay, so I will hit OK. Now you see right there, it created the copy data, and now in the copy data you can right there double click here and see if it is it created that basic one. There is a there is no linked service and all those kind of things. You can have to kind of configure it and make it work. So that's one of the things. I mean, you have a basic information there. So maybe you can do better job than here, writing something more. Also, you can create different other codes as well. So let's say if I'm using a data flow in GCP and I want to write a Python script for the Apache Beam, and let's see, I'm gonna give a try. Write me GCP data flow pipeline code in Python to read from GCP storage and write to BigQuery. Okay, so this is something I'm interested. I didn't really mention Apache Beam and all that here, so I just mentioned Python and the GCP. So you can see that it is in this is Python code. You can import Apache Beam as a beam, create a pipeline, and pipeline starting here. You read from the GCP bucket here, and now you are writing to the BigQuery. So it gave you a lot of information, and then finally you are running the pipeline. So this could be good start, and you can make changes to the code, and also helpful, to find the code right away, especially the snippets. How exactly? Sometimes you might just want to see the sample, and this is helpful. The only one liner you needed, and the rest of that the code you have, and it works great for you. Now, um, other basic questions, I wrote few of the other questions. I mean, it was working fine, but as I'm saying, like it works with the other SQL or some other languages as well. So it's very helpful. So I was able to also generate, let's say if I would generate JSON sample data for 10 records, and then I was able to use it in PubSub and other places where I needed to use the JSON sample data to publish, So that's very helpful, So you see right there, in just one line, I generated 10 JSON records, and from here, if I want to say I want to take this whole data, and now I will say generate Avro schema. I want to create a Avro schema in PubSub, so that's one of the thing. So I will say generate Avro from below data or JSON data. So let's see if it will be able to create the Avro schema for us. So here is the code snippet. So record type, customer, and namespace one.com example, whatever. So you have ID integer, name string, and so this is a Avro kind of schema has been created here that you can use PubSub schemas. So this could be very helpful for a person. It can reduce the work of a data engineer who has to create some objects, create queries, and sometime he's lost in something and he just want to get a quick help instead of going to Google and Bing and typing all those questions. He can simply use this BARD, and at least is maybe 25% efficiency will be increased. I thank you for watching this video. I hope this video will help, and I will see you guys in the next video.